Welcome to the wrap-up, guys, your daily dose of pop culture and movie news hosted by me, Mr. H Reviews. If you are new here, please do hit subscribe. Guys, as always, there are timestamps down below in the description box. So if you want to just flit ahead to news, then be my guest. Don't feel like you have to hang around. But today, what we will be discussing is, as you can see on the screen right now, Lion King is tracking for a huge opening weekend. We're also going to be touching on some rumors and rumblings of Venom actually turning up in Spider-Man Far From Home, and then we will discuss the long-rumoured, and hopefully I will clarify some things for you, of Ridley Scott directing the Alien prequel or Alien Covenant sequel. There's been a lot of rumours about that doing the rounds recently, and I want to touch on that because there's a few articles popping up here and there over the internet, and then hopefully we'll have time for some viewer questions using the hashtag #TheWrapUp. But like I said, guys, if you are new here, please do hit subscribe. Like I said, this is a daily show. This will give you your daily wrap up of pop culture and movie news, all in one place, hosted by me. So we've got The Lion King. It is on track for 180 to 200 million plus opening weekend. Now this comes to us from Box Office Pro, which is an independent box office tracking website. They also cover some news here and there. And what they're doing is they're looking at a long-range tracking. So obviously, you know, this is not indicative of what the movie will do. Of course, we all know that. There's lots of movies which have been tracked for an awful lot moving forwards, and unfortunately they've never hit that. But they take a look at industry, word of mouth, buzz, critics, pre-sales, a lot of things. They also look at the original, because obviously this is a remake. They'll take a look at accounting for inflation. There's a lot which they take a look at, far above my pay grade on how to explain that for you all. But that's kind of the gist of what they take a look at. And what they're saying is that it's actually on track for a 180 and, according to this, 230 million plus. Now that's a huge bracket to work within. So they've obviously given themselves quite a wide berth there for that reason. Because, you know, they don't know exactly where this is going to be sitting. But in terms of what they're saying, there's not an awful lot. I don't want to read their pros and cons. There's not really any point to that. But interestingly enough, this is set to absolutely crush most of Disney's original properties, but then also their live-action remakes as well, which would make sense for a number of reasons. And why I think that this potentially could be true is mainly because the original is such a beloved property. And it really is. The original is such a well-regarded, well-loved property that for this to be tracking for 180 to 230 million opening weekend, I can believe it. I can genuinely believe it. And interestingly enough, the re-release, so the original film being re-released, as it says here, earned 94.2 million domestic. And that's just on a re-release. So this is a property which people can just download. It's probably got it on VHS. It's that old. So for that to have such a massive impact at the box office on a re-release term, I can genuinely believe that the live action remake will probably pull on those nostalgia strings and get people into the cinema with bums on seats. And it's probably just going to be a feel-good kids film. And hopefully it's not going to be too uncanny valley, but we shall see. For me, I will probably go and watch this opening weekend. It's one of those ones where I hold a lot of nostalgia for the original. I remember watching it in theaters, so I will probably go to watch this film. But in terms of, you know, the sustainability of a property like this in box office, you know, in theaters, I don't think it'll be able to keep itself afloat for that many weeks. My hot prediction is that this will probably make the bulk of its money in its opening weekend, and then it will probably peter off quite quickly because there's only so much that nostalgia will get you. But I hand it over to you guys, as I do every day on this show with all of these questions and topics. What do you think of this? Is this a property that you will be going to watch opening weekend? And do you feel like they're really pulling on the nostalgia strings? And do you think that will bode well for the film? Let me know down below in the comments section. So next up, what we've got, and again, I have to stress this is a complete rumor, but this is the rumor that Venom will be appearing in Spider-Man: Far From Home. Now, I know you're probably looking at this going, why do you have a random Twitter feed open? And I know, yeah, you'll probably be right in asking that. But Roger Wardell, this man, this faceless man over on Twitter, gave some predictions for Infinity War and Endgame that were 100% accurate. They were completely true. So, whoever this is, we can take what he says with somewhat of an air of legitimacy. Obviously, take it with a pinch of salt, of course, because the moment these things are released, there are always possibilities of the studios changing it. That's how it happens in the industry. There is absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, that possibility. But Roger Wardell has said that there are no plans to add Deadpool in an MCU Spider-Man 3. But Sony desperately wants Tom Hardy's Venom in this movie. Now, Deadpool had his own movies, but never showed up in the main X-Men films, and it will be the same for the MCU. That's not too surprising, in my eyes, to hear that Sony want Venom part of Spider-Man. Makes sense for a number of reasons. The main reason is that when they cut ties with Marvel, because that's always a possibility, they have a limited deal with Marvel, and unless they renew the deal, that's over. They're going to want Spider-Man to stay afloat outside of this Marvel universe, which they've got going at the moment, with Marvel. So for them to want Venom to go in to that, it makes perfect sense. They've lined it up perfectly for that. They've had Venom be a PG-13 property, which, again, Spider-Man is as well. And yeah, I mean, the comments of Deadpool appearing in Spider-Man, it just wouldn't make any sense. You can't put such a hard R-rated property up against such a family-friendly property. It would not gel well. One would have to be sacrificed for the other. And Deadpool is such a niche and rides very, very highly on its R-rated nature for it to be a success. So all of that to one side, I can believe this to be the case. And like I say, take it with a pinch of salt because, Roger Wardell is a faceless man on Twitter, but his predictions, he literally just announces these things over on Twitter. And the comments which he's made for Infinity War and Endgame have all turned out to be 100% true, for the most part. There's some predictions that he's made in various other tweets which I don't think managed to come to fruition. But like I say, with these things, the moment they're released, the studio has the opportunity to change them. That's just the nature of it all. So, next up, now this is the long piece. This is the, this is going to take a little while to get through. So as I start to discuss through this article, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Venom in Spider-Man. Do you think it could work? Tom Hardy? Let me know down below. But the next one, Alien Covenant. Okay, right. So let's break this down because there's a lot to go through. And I've got two articles open because what Screen Rant have done here is cited Variety, but Variety's wording, and a load of other people will be doing this from now on as well. That's how this is going to happen. This is how news circulates. But unfortunately, this is also how the misinformation of news circulates. So, as you can see from the title, this would capture one's attention as being something, oh my god, wow, this is huge news, right? Wrong. Alien Covenant sequel reportedly being written, Ridley Scott to direct. That's always been the case, Screen Rant. That's always been the case. It's never been officially greenlit, and it's never been officially cancelled. It's always been this. Ridley Scott wants to write and direct Alien Covenant sequel. That's always been the case. So I want to read through this and kind of get your thoughts as we go through it. Because, like I say, this is the misinformation that is rife on the internet at the moment. And, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this this daily show for you all, is just to cut through the crap which is online and just give you the cold hard facts. So it states, 2017's Covenant was a modest commercial hit that more than doubled its budget worldwide, which, again, this is really important to note, still means that it wasn't actually in profit, okay? If a movie, say this one, for instance, it was, was made for $100 million, right? It would have to make 200 just to break even, 200 plus really just to break even. So because you have your budget for the film, then you have your marketing budget. And standard marketing budget in the industry is the same as the film. So $100 million movie budget, $100 million marketing budget, dependent on the size of the film. So for Screen Rant, just to say 2017's Covenant was a modest commercial hit that more than doubled its budget worldwide. That is not a commercial hit. It's not. It's not successful financially either. And that is why, again, before all the people jump out and start bashing their keyboards away, that's why it's been put on ice. Okay, because it didn't make that much money. It made, probably for the studio, we're talking just in the millions. Not the tens of millions, not the hundreds of millions, just millions. So it's a pittance for the studio. They're not going to be happy with that. But suffered a significant drop-off from Prometheus at the box office, which, again, makes perfect sense. 403 million versus 241 million. This is the box office takings for each film. And left the future of the franchise in question. Scott had been talking about making another Alien prequel or two prior to Covenant's release, but hasn't offered any concrete updates on the situation since then. However, and again, this is where the wordplay starts to come in, just to fabricate news for these websites. However, according to the latest report on the matter, a follow-up to Covenant is still in active development. This is the same position it's always been in. This is the same position the film has always been in. It's not changed. It has not changed. So in a much larger retrospective published to commemorate Alien turning 40 this month, Variety revealed that a third Alien prequel is in the scripting phase, with Scott lined up as a director. Scott, in a separate interview with The Hollywood Reporter this past week, confirmed there are discussions for future Alien movies with Disney and Fox, but said he's pushing the studios to see where the franchise can evolve. Now, again, wordplay has come into action here, as we can see. Variety revealed a third Alien prequel is in the scripting phase. Always been the case. However, if that was the case, why does Scott say, in another interview, confirm that there are discussions for future Alien movies with Disney and Fox? So if there's only just discussions, how are we really pushing forward into a scripting phase? They're not greenlit a movie unless he's getting the script going off his own back. There's two things here which kind of contradict one another. And I know that they're not, they can be, mutually exclusive and things like that. They don't have to go hand in hand. But it's a quite clever wordplay coming into action here. So it says that a report from last fall claimed the third Alien prequel, which is tentatively known as Alien Awakening, will focus on the engineers, blah, 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 blah. Not too much going on here, right? So I wanted to take a look at the actual report from Variety, just to show you how clever they are with their wordplay, and how this misinformation of news is spreading around. Because again, remember what Screen Rant said. A movie is in active development, right? They've made a whole article about this gigantic article. I'd love to do a word count on this, in fact, because it's quite a big article, right? That's not a small article. But what Variety have said, right? And this is where they got their news from. So, as we go down, so this is all the retrospective stuff, and it's a nice retrospective piece, and I would encourage you guys to go and check it out. Actually, there's some interesting snippets of information, nothing too crazy about that. There's some nice bits, but on a whole, it's fine. So, as we go down, let me try to find this thing now. So, here we go. So, remember that massive article that Screen Rant wrote? They got it from this. Prometheus and 2017's Alien Covenant, both directed by Scott. A third prequel, which he will direct, is in the script phase. That's all they got it from. That is all they got it from, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. So as you can see, this is why it's really important, why I think anyway, for shows like this, just to cut through the crap, break it down for you properly, and show you that, aggregator websites like Screen Rant or other websites will really pluck at anything to get an article going. This has always been the case for Alien Covenant. It's not changed. This is where it last was. And Variety's not saying, hell, here's an update. Variety's just saying, There's supposed to be a third prequel, which he would direct if it's going to happen, and it's still in the script phase, because that's where it was left off. That's good journalism from Variety, to be perfectly honest. They've not worded anything particularly crazy, or there's no sensationalism behind it. It's quite literally, yeah, here's the previous thing. I mean, it's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's like 10, 11 words, and Screen Rant have managed to create an entire giant article about it. Absolute madness. Now, like I say, this is still in the development stage. It's always been in the development stage. But now things... And I've said many, many times before that Scott has positioned himself with Disney to make these films, because he's directing and helming the Merlin saga, which is a series of movies for Disney. So Ridley Scott has positioned himself very, very smartly to be able to work with Disney and curry good favour from them. So I have no doubt that this will happen, but there's no update here. There's no update for anyone. Apologies if that was the case, but this is just to kind of inform you of the misinformation of movies. So anyway, guys, like I said, I would love to hear your thoughts on this down below in the comment section. And now for the last little bit, what we'll do is get some viewer questions. I think we'll head on over to the comments on YouTube for that. Guys, if you want to submit your viewer questions on movies, industry, me, whatever, has to be relevant to the wrap-up, use hashtag #TheWrapUp. I'll be able to search for it there, and we can get some good questions going back and forth with you all. So Vin over on the YouTube comments asked me, by using the hashtag #TheWrapUp, what is my least favourite and my most favourite Godzilla movie? And to answer it just in one go, Shin Godzilla. It's for both of them. I know it's kind of a contradictory answer, but for me, I liked it and I both disliked it. There's pros and cons to that movie, and both are very, very heavy. There's a lot of pros and there's a lot of cons for me for that film. But yeah, so Vin, there you go. That's your answer. Shin Godzilla. SLIMMCL. I can't say your username. Apologies, dude. But you asked me who would I pick for a Witchblade and The Darkness. What actors would I pick? For Jackie Estacado, for The Darkness, there's so many people that could play that role. It's dependent on the tone that they kind of want to take with the film, though. Because in the comics, there is some light-hearted nature to it. I'm probably going to get some hate for this, but Johnny Depp's not a bad pick. When he's actually acting, he's not a bad pick for something like that. He hasn't acted for a really, really long time. So in fairness, he could probably maybe pull it out of the bag. But I'd love to give it to an unknown, if anything. Or potentially even a Carl Urban for The Darkness. For The Witchblade, there's a lot of good actresses out there. It's kind of a take your pick. I'm almost tentative to say like a Charlize Theron. She could be very, very good for a film like that. She does have a raw attitude. If you think Mad Max Fury Road could work really, really well for Witchblade. And then there's some unknown actresses as well out there. There's a new movie coming out. I think it's called Anna, by the same chap who did Lucy. Now, that actress in that could be really, really good. Again, bit of an unknown here and there would always go very, very well for these films. Because you don't want the actor to detract from the movie itself. You don't want them to be the centerpiece. But you also need a good enough actor to draw people in to make the film a success. So anyway, guys, that wraps it up here for me with the wrap up. If you want your questions answered on the next episode, please do either tweet them to me or just chuck it down below in the comments section. Hashtag the wrap up helps me search for it and it just pops out to me there. Guys, like I said, if you are new here, please do hit subscribe for your daily dose of pop culture and movie news on this, the wrap up. Guys, thanks so much for watching. As always, I'm Mr. H. Take care.